the Obtuse Angles podcast with Kyle and Jeremy. Kyle Fields, comedian, podcaster, unemployed radio broadcaster. Jeremy, bam, bam, boom, boom, wham, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Iron Mike, the professor, the southern dandy, flyboy, the golden child. 10 seconds on either side of putting a ham in the smokehouse stack. Oh, Lee Sutherland. Also a comedian, podcaster, IT man to the dangle stars. Somebody better put the red carpet down, scatter the rose petals. The queen has arrived. This week, Jeremiah is in the house. Say hello. Say, there we go. Yeah, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Hi. I'm back. I'm excited to be here on my own show where I'm literally a title fucking character. Like, you welcoming me back. Like, I've been gone for 6 months and you had to fucking someone. Like, it's been great. We did 2 seasons without him, but he's coming back. He just signed on. The writers are off strike. And
yeah, we had Coy and Vance. We had some scabs in here. We had Coy and Vance. You remember, like, that was a whole season of Dukes of Hazzard. You had fucking
Glenn Jacobs come in as the fake Jeremy, and then you had Dick Sargent.
Well, did you say Glenn Jacobs, the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee? Kane? We had Glenn Jacobs in here? What are you talking about?
Yeah, because remember, he was the fake Diesel, right?
Yeah. That's right. Well, this show's already gone off the rails. We're barely 2 minutes in. Yeah. Jeremy wasn't here last week because at first we thought that it was a tear, but apparently he just mildly sprained his vagina. So what happened, Jeremy? You couldn't do the show last week because of some yeast infection of some sort. What was it?
I had some sand up my pussy. It got real bad. Got infected. I had a pharyngeal infection. So if we pretended for a second that it wasn't the most excruciating pain I've ever felt in my entire life, I wouldn't have been able to speak anyway because it's literally an infection of the pharyngeal tissue. In the throat.
Look at him saying that like you knew what that word meant before the doctor told you. Well, it's literally an infection of the pharyngeal, Kyle. Of course, I don't have to tell you what part of the tongue that's on. What were you doing? What kind of nasty, rank-ass, dank-ass strippers' buttholes are you licking that you get a goddamn
ass, man.
Exotic?
Just eating ass. Eating all that ass. Eating some swampy old ass.
Oh, God, that sounds like so much fun.
I got fucking Dr. Big Dick again. You remember me telling you about Dr. Big Dick, right?
No, I'm vaguely aware. Who was Dr. Big Dick again? Is this the role play that you and Amber do? I'm here to see you, Doctor.
Now, even in my role plays, we play Dr. Average Dick. Now, this fucking guy, he's a doctor at the emergency room here in Louisville, and he's a big, fucking, tall, handsome, good-looking guy, and apparently doesn't realize that if you have a 12-inch penis, you got to wear some underwear. Like he just comes in with just all good looks and fucking chin and jawbone with his big dick swinging.
No wonder you're sick. You're faking shit to go to that fucking hospital.
Yeah. Oh, no, this son of a bitch comes in, dude. Listen, man, it sounds like this. When he walks over, he's like, Jeremy, how you doing, buddy? That was his dick smacking the side of his thigh.
It's like
and he's got like the loosest fucking boxers on, and it's just like it's just smacking his leg as he walks back and forth across the room.
He's like John Hamm. You've heard that, right? That John Hamm apparently has this legendarily huge penis. Because of course he does. Because fucking of course he does.
Well, I'm glad that he does because he falls short in so many other categories. He's not the best looking guy and he doesn't really have a lot of money or fame. So thank God he has a giant fucking penis.
For a moment, I thought you were seriously going to start shooting on how ugly John Hamm was. I was like, are you? Wow.
No, I would fuck John Hamm. Are you kidding me?
If that ain't the pot calling the kettle every racial slur, I don't fucking know what is.
I would fuck John Hamm for 1/5 of his fame and money.
So
just 1/5 of it.
You're in that operating room faking sick, and old Dr. Good and Sexy comes in, smacks you in the chin with his cock. And then what happens? You go to the doctor and he open up and say, and whatever. All the porno things happen. So then what? He tells you.
This was fairly uneventful. They just gave me some medicine. He was like, look, man, it's really painful when adults get it. Apparently, it's something that children get. They get it all the time, and to them, it feels nothing more than like a sore throat.
So when
it hits an adult, which is rare, it damn near like takes you out. He's like, there's nothing you can do. He's like, I'm going to give you a bunch of pain meds. He's like, don't crush these up and snort. I was already like snorting them. Like he gave me samples.
Had the razor blade
and I was
out.
already crushing them up with a quarter, like on the side of the. No, I'm kidding. He's like, no, don't do that. Or at least wait till I leave. They gave me a bunch of pain meds, and I took them. And
the highlight of your story. Well, I'm sure you feel great. I'm sure. Maybe you'll give a shit this week. It'll be refreshing. Nice change of pace. But I thought that there was going to be like a point to that story. You just literally told me your story was my doctor's got a big dick. Anyway, Kyle, how's your day going? That's good.
He did. Well, he almost touched me with it, like because it was very small, cramped. Like
are
he
you
was trying
sure
to slide by me.
I think this might have been a janitor. We were in a broom closet, and this guy with a big dick came in and almost touched me with it. I don't think that you saw a doctor. I think this theogenial thing is made up.
Scrubs.
Yeah, whatever infection that you think you had's all made up. So okay, you went to a guy with a big dick in a broom closet who gave you painkillers and sent you on your way.
I call that a hell of a Friday night.
Yeah, here you go, kid. Take this. He said it was an envelope full of gimmicks is what it was. It was pills in an envelope. So we talked last week, and by we talked, I mean I ranted and they listened to me talking about how you missed my wedding, and we don't have the time to go into it again. You didn't want to be there. I understand that. But finally, we're able to get back on track on this whole little show. And thanks to Jen, who hit us up on social media. She requested this episode. If you'd like to hit us up, like us on Facebook. We're on Twitter at Obtuse Podcast, like the YouTube page. And the Twitter is the Twitter. Again, I'm 105. The Twitter is your direct line to this show. Any suggestions, comments, criticisms, concerns, nudie, titty, or big, sexy Dr. Dick pics for Jeremy, apparently, hit us up. Mm-hmm. Jim wanted to hear us talk about Richard Chase because we were doing an episode where we talked about cannibalism in some form or fashion a couple of weeks ago. And I got to tell you, Jeremy, I did my due diligence in the past. I watched some of those ID channel 45-minute documentaries, the ones that are only watched by your great aunt at 9 o'clock on a Sunday. I've seen those.
Yeah.
And, so when I started to actually do research for this episode, though, holy fucking shit, this man was crazy. Oh,
you go down a rabbit hole on the old Vampire of Sacramento, the Vampire Killer of Sacramento.
Dude, because when Jen messaged us, and of course, see, here's the thing, Jeremy, and it's so funny, I'm about ready to put him on blast. Jeremy is like me. He doesn't do anything unless he has to. So, when it comes to the social media for this show, doesn't do it, which is fine. I get it. But we get a blonde hot chick who messages us, and Jeremy responds to that in 5 fucking seconds. This motherfucker. Because again, whenever anybody hits us up on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, it's me. But whenever a chick hits us up on the Facebook page, Jeremy immediately, ha ha ha, that's great. Blah, like, oh, well, great. Yeah. Now we're getting the hardworking Jeremy. Now we're getting the Jeremy that actually cares about this show.
It's amazing how attractive blondes will just give me a spike in work ethic. It's weird how
I went into messages and it wasn't like Jeremy, did his due diligence and said, "Oh, thank you for listening." No, it was a full-on conversation. You would think that they were the best old friends. So Jeremy had this conversation with her. And speaking of hard work and Jeremy, this used to be a segment on the show. We haven't done it in a long time because Jeremy has maintained steady employment. But we got to say, we're bringing it back. It's now time for Jeremy Quits Another Job. Let's come on, bring the music. So, Jeremy, and I do want to say for all of his family members listening who are, he does owe money to, and for all the card sharks out there, he is gainfully employed. So he quit this one job to go to another, right? But Jeremy didn't do, the classy thing. like most people would, fire off the old email, this whatever, 2 weeks, right? Hey, it's been a pleasure working here. I've got a new opportunity I have to take care of. This is my 2 weeks notice. Jeremy wakes up one day and decides instead of working, he's going to play Assassin's Creed 4 or whatever the fuck he does. And hours go by, and I'm going to go ahead and let you take it from here, Jeremy, because so many people, and the reason that we had these segments so many times in the past on this show is people live vicariously through you, Jeremy. All of the people, like I'm unemployed, I'm broke as fuck, but the real man out there, the real man. The real man, like, a goddamn 90 Chevy truck commercial. The real man out there who listen to Bob Seger every goddamn day on the way to fucking work, man. Throw that goddamn cheese sandwich in a dry-ass motherfucker in that lunch pail. They clock in, clock out, and they listen to this show, and they want to live, they want to tell the man with that fancy flat-top haircut to take this job and shove it. So, Jeremy, go ahead, please titillate us, okay? We're already hard. Smack us around and make us come.
Here's the thing, man. My job is, I have a very difficult job. I do work from home, but I have a very taxing, very difficult job because I do all my work. I do the bulk of my duties from right here in my home office. Now, I'm sitting here in my home office looking at my desktop where I've just got icons and rows and rows and rows of icon after icons of video games I could be playing. And I've got to do fucking work. So it's bullshit.
How do you see? Because at least when you're at work, I think about that too, because at least when you're at work, right? I'm already here. I might as well slack off and pretend like I'm trying. But when you're home, oh my God, think of all the pornos you could be jerking it to.
I jerked off. I jerked off at work the other day. I jacked off at work. Yeah, think about that. Let that sink in.
No, I did, but instead you hopped in your car and actually went to the office for that one.
Yeah, I did.
It's the only way Jeremy can get off.
I got up at 7 a.m., okay, and I got into the group chat for my job. I got in there and I said, good morning, everybody, logging in. And I checked my email for my daily assignment, and it looked really hard. Like I didn't want to do it. It was very hard.
It looked really hard. I love that.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do it.
So instead of doing it, I just closed all of my email and stuff and just started playing video games. And then about 11 a.m. is when I'm supposed to send a midday report. All the employees who work from home are supposed to send a very detailed, highly detailed midday report showing that, hey, this is the reason we're paying you. This is what I've been doing all day. Well, I didn't send one at 10:30. I didn't send one at 11, 11:30, 12. 12:30 rolls around, and my boss messages me. He's like, hey, are you going to send your midday report? And I replied and just said, nah. Like just N-A-H, just nah.
Nah.
And then it popped up. It's like, so-and-so is typing. And then he popped up again. He said, well, can you go ahead and send it? And I just replied with nah. And I went on playing my video game. So a few minutes passes, and he writes back and says, LOL, seriously, I need you to send your midday report.
So at this point, he thinks that you're just joking. He thinks you're just...
At this point, he thinks I'm kidding. So I wrote back with LOL, nah.
Good God almighty.
And then this time is when he finally broke kayfabe. He was like, no, seriously, you need to send...
He's still working me at this point.
He said, you need to send your midday report. And I wrote back and said, no, I don't want to. And he said, is there any particular... I was just being so...
You're a 2-year-old. You're a 2-year-old.
I was being an asshole, yeah.
And here's the deal. Again, like we said, you had already interviewed and gotten another job, right? So you were you're in that sweet spot where, again, who gives a fuck if you get fired? It's your last day at this school. Who gives a shit? There's no fucking consequences, right? So Jeremy, again, rather than doing the classy thing, when you woke up that day, did you decide that you were going to be a shitheel, or it wasn't until you looked at the assignments that were just too much?
No, I looked at that assignment and it was just really unfair because I feel like they were giving me all the really hard stuff because all the other people in my department can't fucking count past 10 unless they're barefoot or wearing sandals. So I get all the fucking difficult shit that has to be done. I get the bulldog shit that's got to be handled, and it's unfair, and I decided I didn't want to take it anymore. So finally he's just like, well, what are we going to do about this? And then I replied with, I don't really care what you do about it because I don't want to work here anymore. And that was the end of the whole conversation.
Wow, hold on. We got to give Jeremy the unemployed slow clap there. There you go.
Thank you.
All of the people in the middle of COVID like myself who don't have a job, Jeremy has two, and he says, fuck that. Fuck all you people. I don't give a shit. God damn it. I love it, though. All right. Well, I'll tell you somebody who did have a job, plenty of them, as a matter of fact, but he kept on getting fired, was old Richard Chase. The Vampire of Sacramento. This motherfucker is batshit insane from the word go. You were actually a little bit more familiar with this motherfucker when Jen hit us up, right? Jeremy, you said that you had done some reading about him. He's crazy. He's fucking crazy. And again, we're going to go ahead and say this up front. This is going to be one of the I hate to use the trigger word. I guarantee nobody listening gives a fuck about trigger words, but there's a whole lot of triggers. Okay, it gets a little dicey up in this motherfucker. Richard Chase, born in California, May 23rd, 1950. He's called the Vampire of Sacramento because he likes drinking people's blood. Now, he has a pretty average 50s childhood, at least in terms of his family. You're going to see different reports. There's kind of conflicting.
Lots of racism and repressed homosexuality. Everything you would come to expect from a 50s childhood.
I love how, in your mind, that's what the whole decade was everybody was racist and literally everybody was repressed homosexual. Every single one of them.
Everyone was gay and no one talked about it.
Richard got beaten by his dad a little bit, but again, it was the 50s, so a lot of people were. It really wasn't all that different except for the fact that Richard grew a little crazy. He liked to torture animals a little bit. I mean, look, honestly, who doesn't? And you know that old triad, what's it called, where it's like three things in a kid, okay? And if the kid exhibits any of these three things, and especially these three things, they could be a psychopath when they grow up, and that's animal torture, that's starting fires, and that's pissing the bed. Well, guess who did all three? Ding, ding, ding.
Kyle.
Richard.
Richard.
Yeah, well, I mean, me too. You son of a bitch.
Sorry. I know we weren't supposed to talk about it. I know. You could just cut this. You can just cut this out, right?
No. I'm definitely gonna. I mean, look. Okay. The only way this isn't going to get cut out is if I'm lazy, and of course that's not going to happen.
That would never happen.
Richard's mom is a little batshit Looney Tunes, though, too. There's no exact proof that she had schizophrenia, which is what Richard is later going to definitely show throughout his life. But she was the worst possible person for Richard.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that a serial killer wet the bed, played with fire, tortured and abused animals, had an abusive father and an insane mother? Wait a minute. Wait, you're going to sit here with a straight face and tell me that a serial killer comes from that sort of stock?
For the first time ever, honestly, look, I had to even double check it because it made so little sense to me. But yeah, apparently that is the case with old Richard Chase. Oh, look, I'm a poet and wasn't even aware. So, old Richie C, man, his mom fucking hates him. Well, she loves him, but he's a fucking weirdo, man. He would literally, he was torturing animals. He was walking around with a 1,000-yard stare. He is in and out of the old psych ward a couple of times growing up. He goes down to hang out with his grandma, live with his grandma. His grandma doesn't want him. His grandma sends him back to live with his mom. His mom doesn't want him. He goes back and forth. One of the times when he is locked up in the crazy house, wouldn't you know, and again, you probably heard this before. A lot of people who, have some mental issues do this. He apparently caught not one, but two birds that were on his windowsill in the hospital, broke their necks, and were drinking their blood. Basic stuff. How the hell?
Rudimentary.
Explain to me, Jeremy. And obviously, drinking the bird's blood is crazy, but I'm just more impressed with that feat of physical prowess. Like, is this man like a grown-ass house cat? Is he part house cat?
That's like super impressive, right? That he caught a fucking bird, like, with his bare hands in a windowsill?
That's some goddamn blood sport shit. Was he wearing a bandana?
And every bird that he missed, he got whacked in the gut with a bow staff.
Yeah, Mr. Miyagi was there the whole time. See, I know you're hearing this and you're going, well, why was he drinking blood? That doesn't make any sense. Well, Richard was a mad hypochondriac, and before we go any further, when it comes to hypochondria, I'm 100% a hypochondriac. I spend money to take medicine for it. So I can openly say that and understand that this is a nuanced and very difficult condition that can ruin your life. And for this man, it did. However, when you see what old Richie C does coming up, it's okay to make fun of this motherfucker. See, Richard thought that his mother was out to steal his femoral artery. Because you know how it is in the middle of the goddamn night. Your mama sneaks into your bedroom and, she just reaches in. You wake up, you go, goddamn, where'd my fucking arteries gone?
You know that old song, oh, moms just want to steal femoral arteries.
No, it was a number one fucking hit, right? So he thought that his mom was stealing his femoral artery. He also, look, I know this sounds like I'm making this stuff up for the purposes of comedy. I'm not. See, Richard believed that the Nazis, which of course were still around in great numbers in the 1970s America, had control over the UFOs, okay? And those Nazi UFOs were brain controlling his mother to poison him through his food, so that and steal his femoral artery. I mean, obviously, this a chestnut as old as time, right? Richard also thought that bones were growing out of the back of his head and his skull was shedding bones. And he also thought his heart was shrinking and he had to inject blood into his body in order for his heart not to get so small that it disappeared and he died.
When they institutionalized him, they really fucked him up because there were allegations against the hospital, the institution where he was kept, for mishandling his medicine, all the different reactive psychotropic drugs that they had him on. But, he was Richard Chase, so no one really, A, gave a shit, or B, did anything about it.
Now, is this after he was caught and when he was in prison before he, spoiler alert, killed himself? Or is this when the first time?
No, it happened after he killed himself, yeah.
You motherfucker. Yeah. I meant, was this after they caught him? Was this after they caught him?
No, this was in the initial stay in the institution.
See, the thing about Richard Chase, and I found this so ridiculous, is he was a schizophrenic, like we said, and he would be released from the hospital. And when he's released, his mom, here's why his mom was the worst. She never called the police, and so many times, like. What Richard does coming up is going to be absolutely insane, but there was absolutely no reason this ever should have happened. You want to talk about warning signs? Holy fucking shit. His mom didn't give a shit enough to call the police, but she thought that she cared enough to think she was helping him by weaning him off his schizophrenia medication and not reporting it every time the motherfucker would kill it. Dude, one time.
Wasn't that the pot calling the kettle schizophrenic?
Who said that?
He was taken to the he was institutionalized because he tried to put animal blood into his veins. Like he tried to inject animal blood into his veins. Yeah, well, so I guess it would purify his blood or whatever.
No,
crazy bullshit.
Jeremy, you sound so stupid. He injected animal blood into his veins because he believed that his blood was powder. Gosh, come on. His blood was powder.
Oh, yeah, that old chestnut. Yeah.
His mom would see him do things to the animals too when he was a kid. When he got off the schizophrenic medication, at one point he squeezed his dog's jaw so hard that it couldn't eat for days. And Bo, believe you me, it gets worse and worse. One time after they get into a fight, his mom hears a gunshot out the front door. She opens the door and she sees Richard has just shot her cat in the head. And he is drinking and eating the organs because he's reached in with both hands inside of the body of the cat that he just killed.
Well, I think that's great. He's not letting that kill go to waste.
He uses
all
every
parts
part
of the animal. All parts of the animal.
Every part of the house cat. Jesus Christ. and again, his mom, when she sees this, doesn't call the police. She literally calmly shut the door and pretended like she didn't see it. Because it was
that's the thing about like a lot of these serial killers is you tend, if you present the information correctly, you tend to feel sorry for them or to maybe identify with their outcast nature but Richard Chase wasn't a terrible person. He was just a fucking lunatic. Like he should have been locked up in a fucking like he had no redemptive qualities. He had barely articulate, very literate. He was just he was broken. He wasn't trying to hide who he was. He wasn't like Dahmer. He wasn't a brilliant or like a brilliant sociopath, or he was just a fucking broken piece of machinery.
He was like a piece of machinery that didn't work right at first, and you keep on using it, and it just keeps on getting more fucked up. That's exactly what happened with Richard Chase. So his mom sees all the shit. She doesn't say anything. Oh, and guess what? Along the way, old Ricky decides to buy a gun. It was the 70s. See, at this point, it's the 70s. And Richard bought several guns.
They had a 10-minute wait period just for safety.
There was no waiting period. In the U.S., the waiting period only came after the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. And when they asked, somebody tries to shoot a rich old white man, somebody starts paying attention. Well, oh, God. Oh, hold on. Wait, they killed one of us? Wait a minute. We got to stop this shit. So there is no 3-day waiting period. And again, because it is the 70s, literally, here's what they did. They went, hey, yo, Richard, man, bro, have you ever been in an institution? And Richard went, no. And they sold him the gun. They sold him the gun.
Wow. Well, at least he had the presence of mind to lie, I guess.
Well, and that's the thing, though, with Richard Chase is, and as we're later going to find, he is caught for his crimes and they kill him. Well, they're going to kill him, and then he commits suicide in prison. But one of the guys from that inspired the Netflix show Mindhunter actually interviewed Richard Chase, and he said out of all the serial killers that he ever interviewed, Richard Chase was the one who absolutely should not have been put to death because he simply had no fucking idea what he was doing. All that being said, though, like you said, Jeremy, he would lie. He would manipulate people at least a little bit. Like he would say enough stuff to get away with the things he had to do in order to get those sweet organs and that sweet blood that kept him alive.
But that's what it was. That's what makes you understand it. He only has the mental capacity of like a small fucking woodland creature. Like he doesn't have the brain power to craft an advanced sort of lie. Like he will lie to get either out of immediate danger or to get the thing he immediately wants. Like, there's no long con with him.
No, I agree.
They asked him if he's ever been in an institution, and he probably stared at the floor for 5 minutes and then looked up and went, You see what I'm saying? Like,
oh, absolutely. Hey, speaking of staring off into space, when he, before any of the murders went down, he would walk around his apartment complex with a shotgun staring off into the distance. and oddly enough, that tends to make people a little upset, a little nervous. So they called the police on him. The cops got there. But here's the thing. That's technically not illegal. He wasn't threatening anybody and he wasn't pointing the gun at anyone. So the cops go, hey, can you just cover this up with a blanket? And he says, sure. And he walks around the complex with a shotgun under a blanket, which is somehow even more
there's
terrifying.
This moment in a serial killer's life, and we see it a lot on this show because we do a lot of episodes about serial killers. There's that moment where a cop had an opportunity to do something and they just fucking didn't. Like when the guy escaped Dahmer's apartment and like this guy who watched Chase march around an apartment complex with a shot. There's always this moment where someone could have done the right thing and they just watched that moment as it went by. Just bye-bye.
Well, unfortunately, again, like we're going to see and we've seen it so many times in the past with all those other hashtag Evergreen Man episodes. Do you like that little plug? Time and time again, people can do the right thing and they don't. What could the cop do? I mean, I guess the cop could take him downtown or whatever, you know what I mean? But he wasn't breaking the law, and he wouldn't. I don't know. But let's take a look at some of my other notes and maybe see if some of the other stuff that Richard did when he was a young man made a lot of sense. Richard thought that because his brain was shrinking, he needed vitamin C for it. So he would take orange slices, put them in a towel, and tie them around his head so the vitamin C could soak into his brain. You know, I mean, look, no one's saying that doesn't work.
That follows. Absolutely. I see no flaw in that logic whatsoever.
Richard at one point had roommates, but they forced him to move out when he walked out of his bedroom without any pants or underwear on, stared off into the distance, and pretended like nothing was wrong. Well, that's just a rib, brother. He was just fucking with him. Come on. Richard had some issues, Jeremy. He couldn't get hard in high school. He actually did have a couple of chicks, which I can't even imagine how nasty those bitches had to be.
Like, who fucks Richard Chase? Like, what woman on this earth is still alive right now who can actually say, I had an opportunity to fuck Richard Chase, but he couldn't keep a boner?
I guarantee that those women have all overdosed by now. He couldn't get hard. Likely. He couldn't get hard, but guess what? He is going to find something that gets him hard a little bit later on. A spoiler alert. Old Ricky starts buying several dogs when he's ramping up his crimes because, again, he's ping-ponging back and forth to his mom's place. His mom is like, Richard, you're crazy. Go to your grandma's. His dad is like, you're not staying with me. Get the fuck out of here. Nobody wants this guy because he keeps on creeping everybody the fuck out. He does when he finally gets his own place and his dad is paying for it. Richard, at this point, can go buck wild. Old motherfucker bought several dogs, several of them, and he killed them, and he ate them, and he drank their blood, and he ripped up their organs. He stole his neighbor's dogs at one point, and he ate them, and then he calls the neighbors, and he tells them details that he knows only they would know about the dog, as he described how he ate their pets. He was a card.
So now we're getting sort of a peek at the first time where he sort of displays like a level of villainy, because up until this point, he's just a fucking lunatic. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a broken fucking nut.
Well, yeah, and I think that would probably be the worst thing he would do. Hold on, let me just check the rest of my notes. Speaking of, going a little crazier, old Richard, one of the guns he bought, well, he starts shooting at the voices. Yeah, he starts off firing. You hear one there, you hear one somewhere else.
That sounds like a family reunion at your place, doesn't it?
Oh, well, no, because in this
uncle
story,
with a shotgun out there. Hey, where's Herschel? He's out back shooting at the voices.
In this story, there's only one redneck with a gun. It's a little bit fucking different. One of his neighbors, by the way, is so creeped out that she just moves to a completely other apartment complex. I would probably call that a good move.
Yeah. Well, a smart move on her part.
Let's just move forward a little bit in time, because now shit starts to get a little serious for old Richard. August 3rd, 1977, Nevada State Police discover Richard Chase's Ford Ranchero lodged in a sand drift near Pyramid Lake, Nevada. Inside were 2 rifles, a pile of clothes, a bucket full of blood. I'm going to say that again. A bucket full of blood. And a cow's liver. Now, at the time, the cops did not know that was a cow's liver. They just saw a goddamn liver. And when the officers go to track down Richard Chase, they see him a little ways away staring at them, butt naked and screaming, soaked head to toe in blood.
Jesus. This is how I came into this world, and by God, this is how I'm going to go out.
No, and the cops go, yo, hey, how'd you get all this blood on you? Well, Richard had a very good excuse. I actually got to give him credit for this one. He said that it, quote, leaked out of his skin.
Is that where it comes from? Oh, Richard.
We're going to fast forward 2 days, man. December 29th, 1977. Richard Chase kills his first victim in a drive-by shooting. It was a 51-year-old guy named Ambrose Griffin. He was outside. He was helping his wife load groceries into the house, and which is horseshit because you know that he was probably watching his favorite show, Married with Children. It had to be, or whatever. And his wife is like, hey, can you help me with the groceries? And he was like, God damn it, are you serious? And she was like, look, it's not going to kill you. And then all of a sudden he gets out. Now, his wife apparently didn't see what happened. She was inside because, of course, she was making the man work. She comes out and sees old Ambrose Griffin there dead, laying on the ground. She didn't realize he was shot. At first, she thought he had a heart attack. And it's not until he goes to the hospital and then, boom, they see the fucking gunshot. So now they have absolutely no clue who this drive-by shooter is. Some of the cops think it's some teenager shooting at a goddamn light post. Some people thought it was just some random guy going for a thrill kill. And they are going to find out very soon that was not the case. January 11th, 1978, it's the second murder. And before we move on to the second murder here, we got to take a look at a couple other things old Richie did. Richie thought about killing a whole lot of other people because, again, he needs the blood to sustain his organs, Jeremy. His blood is all powder, okay? Obviously. And did you see in all the research that you read how Richard would figure he would go to someone's house, okay? And he was called the soap dish test. The soap dish test was a way that he would check to see if you were compromised by the Nazi UFOs. Have you heard about this? Have you read about this, Kev? You heard about this?
Yeah, I did. It's so funny. I just came out of the hospital and my doctor was going on about how my blood was powder. So I could be similarly affected. I have to be careful.
Yeah, yours was honey baked ham, though.
It was that white powder they put on powdered donuts.
Exactly. How much, sir? My goodness. So Richie was going around to different strangers' houses,
he's Richie now.
Richie.
Guys got it like that?
Yeah, dude, we're tight, bro. And what Richie said, and again, this makes him a vampire in another way, in addition to drinking blood. He would say that if the doors were unlocked, that was his invitation to go in the home. But if a person's front door was locked, then that would mean that they didn't want him in there, right? Of course. So he would go up to people's homes, and the ones that he would knock on, they would come to the door and he would ask, do you have any old magazines? And nobody gave him magazines. Everybody was like, no, get the fuck out of here. Because by this point, this motherfucker wasn't eating. He was literally only consuming organs of the dogs and cats and birds he was killing and the blood, because, of course, it was the fresh blood, so the Nazis wouldn't get him, right? Now, the reason that this disheveled, crazy, gaunt man was asking for magazines, the prosecutors think, was that he was actually sizing up the people who lived in the home to see if he could take them. One time, he actually is caught on a woman's back porch. Some neighbors see him. The cops come, and again. The cops see Richard Chase, an obvious crazy man, okay? A dude who always looks like he's halfway through transforming into an anorexic werewolf, okay? And do they arrest this man who is trespassing on a stranger's porch? No, they go, get out, like he was a country possum. Go, get out of here, go on.
They got a broom and started shooing him away.
Well, they shoot his fucking ass away. And at one point, he goes to a stranger's house and he breaks in and he's rifling through all the belongings and shit. And then the dad gets there, right? Goddamn big ass dad. And he chases Richard out of the house. And as he's chasing Richard through these backyards, like in a fucking 80s Ferris Bueller scene, Richard screams to the guy. He says, hey, no, I was just taking a shortcut. A shortcut was through your house. I was just taking a shortcut. Now, Jeremy, you might ask me, why is the dad so angry that he broke into his house? What did he do in his home? Well, old Richard pissed in a drawer and took a shit in the kid's bed. Yes, you do. As you do. All right, so old Richie, after he does first murder, he gets all horned up, brother man. January 11th, 1978, he asks his neighbor for a cigarette, and then he forcibly restrains her until she gives him an entire pack. I mean, look, I used to smoke. I understand what it's like to be jonesing, but that's a bit much. Chase then continues to try to attempt to enter other homes until he comes across one that is unlocked, and that is the home of David and Teresa Wallen. Now, David was at work, and Teresa, who, by the way, was 3 months pregnant, so this just makes the story even worse, was in the middle of taking out the garbage, and that's why she had left the front door unlocked. Chase surprised her, comes in right through the front door, boom, shoots her 3 times. Once in the hand, which is a defensive wound. It goes by and it nicks her face. The other goes through her goddamn jaw. Third bullet, boom, gets her in the brain, but she's not dead. She's just unconscious. At this point, Richard, he's not Richie now. Richard drags her body into the bedroom. He rapes it when it's dead. But before she's dead, he goes into her body. He carves the corpse open. He uses a bucket to collect blood, and he drinks it. And then he bathes in the blood, right? Because you got to do that in the bathroom. And then he slices off a single nipple. And he then takes a to-go drink. He takes a yogurt cup, gets him a little spritzer, might put a little olive in it, and he gets the fuck out of there, right? So that Richie was being a bad boy that day. Oh, and by the way, I can't forget the coup de grace after murdering and raping the dead body of this woman. He then shoves dog shit in her mouth. A little laugh.
God. Fucking insult to injury at that point. Like, what does that do? Like, I understand that he has a reason for all the shit he does, for the blood drinking and the smearing it on himself and the orange fucking sock wrapped around his head. But, like, what is put the dog shit in her mouth? Like, is that just like is that for lulz? Is that what... Like,
I think at that point, he was changing his gimmick. At that point. I think what it was that was his new calling card. It was like the Sticky Bandits at the end of Home Alone. It was like, that's my thing now. I'm the dog shit bandit. January 23rd, 1978, 2 days after he kills Teresa. Oh, and by the way, I said that Teresa's husband was at work that day. He gets off work and he goes and he drinks with the boys and he comes home. And he discovers his wife's body in the most horrific way imaginable. And I only say that because can you imagine the whole time he was out with the boys, he was like, man, I hope this bitch don't call me. I'm having fun. God, no. Oh, baby.
He was thinking, if I'd have just known this shit happened, I could have stayed out with the guys. Damn it, I came home too early.
January 23rd, 1978, 2 days after killing Teresa, he purchased 2 puppies from a neighbor who he then killed and drank the blood of, leaving their bodies on the neighbor's front lawn. Apparently, a lot of times, Richard would buy puppies from breeders, saying that he himself was a breeder. And some of the breeders found it a little bit odd that he didn't ask what the sexes of the dogs were. 2 women? That's cool. The coup de grace, the goddamn Godfather 2 of this series. January 27th, Chase commits his final murder, which also technically qualifies him as a mass murderer. He did it, everybody. He did. He enters the home of 38-year-old Evelyn Miroth. I don't know. She's dead. Who cares? I'm kidding. That's awful. That's awful. That's the worst thing. Awful. So he enters the room. He enters the house of Evelyn. This is worst case scenario because in addition to 38-year-old Evelyn, she's there babysitting her 22-month-old nephew, David. And also in the home was Evelyn's 6-year-old son, Jason, and a neighbor who was actually the one babysitting the kids at the moment because Evelyn was in the bathtub. And I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute. Evelyn was taking a bath and the neighbor was babysitting these kids? he was fucking her, right? Come on. Anyway, so the old Poonhound brother who's babysitting the kids, he was the first one to get it. Old Richie comes in through the goddamn door with the, gun, bang, bang, boom, he's dead. And then he turns the corpse over and he stole old horny Dan's wallet and car keys. Because, hey, if you're a goddamn cannibalistic murderer, you might as well add Grand Theft Auto to the equation, right?
Now, this murder right here is where he finally changes the gimmick. He'd been toying with the idea of sort of revamping his brand, so to speak. Yeah. And now he's full on done a heel turn at this point because he does something with Evelyn Miroth's body that hasn't been seen in any of the other previous cases, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a real big aficionado on such things, but we'll see. I don't think so, because even as I was reading this, I was like, Jesus Christ. So old horny Dan is shot. Kid, the son, the 5-year-old son, Jason, is tragically shot in the head at point blank range. On the way to killing Jason, Chase also shoots the 22-month-old kid, David, boom, right there in the head. Now, then he enters the bathroom, and he finally shoots Evelyn once in the head. Then he goes buck fucking wild. Richard drags her corpse into the bed, where he simultaneously sodomized it and drank its blood from a series of slices to the back of the neck. So he's sodomizing her corpse while eating the chunks of flesh and drinking the blood. This has got to be like a day at Camden Park for old brother here. Medical examiners. And I'm going to quote this. Quote, medical examiners reported an inordinate amount of semen in the corpse's rectum, indicating that and here's their quote, unusual amount of ejaculation was inside.
That's what happens. He couldn't get a boner for so many years. He's got them saved up.
By the time old Richie was done, he had stabbed her, quote, at least half a dozen times in the anus, which sounds like a Norwegian death metal band we might have covered a little while back. Then he actually stabbed her in the anus so many times that he had actually penetrated her uterus. Real modern art stuff. He stabbed her. he stabbed her in a series of vital points on the body, which caused all the blood to trickle into her abdomen. It was almost like he knew exactly what he was doing. He then went to retrieve David's corpse. So when he leaves, and by the way, the only reason he leaves is that the kid, the 5-year-old, is supposed to have a play date with a 6-year-old neighbor girl next door. She knocks on the door. Thank God Richard doesn't answer it and kill her. He freaks out. He grabs David, the 22-month-old's body, and he takes it with him, and here's before he takes it, he cracks it open in the bathroom and takes a little nibble of the goddamn brains. Getting a French fry in the drive-thru at McDonald's.
That's why they put the French fries on top of the bag, Kyle. So you do the first thing you see when you're in there, you sit at that red light, you'll reach in there and grab you a fry at the red light.
Oh, God, you know what it was like. He had that little medulla oblongata dripping out, looking all good and shit. Oh, the worst. This is the worst ever. This is the worst thing we've ever done. So you think, okay, Kyle, that's probably as bad as it gets. I'm never going to hear anything worse than that. Well, old Richard takes David's corpse home with him, where he, get ready, chops off his penis and uses it as a straw through which he sucked David's blood out of his body. Well, here we are, people. Here we are.
The old penis straw.
Yeah, the old, I tell you what, that's probably a not so silly straw, because there's nothing silly about that. He then sliced the corpse open and consumed several internal organs and made smoothies out of others. Oh, put a little dash of paprika in that motherfucker.
He put some chai seeds in there. He wanted it to be healthy. A few sprigs of kale.
Look, you got to have your internal organs in good shape, right?
Got to energize.
He gets rid of the corpse at a nearby church because, goddamn, why not add blasphemy to this motherfucker while we're at it? After the murder, FBI agents Russ Vorpakal and Robert Ressler, of course, the guys we were talking about, were called in to investigate. Now, they compiled a profile of the killer, and I want to read.
I just realized that the movie Rampage is based on the crimes of Richard Chase. Did you know that?
Are you talking about the one with the Rock and the Godzilla monster and the King Kong guy? Is that what you're talking? No. Oh, the other Rampage. Okay.
No, the one with Michael Biehn.
All right, here is the profile that Robert Ressler said. And again, think of how eerily accurate this is. Quote, white male, age 25 to 27, thin, undernourished, appearance, single, living alone in a location within 1 mile of abandoned station wagon owned by one of the victims. Residents will be extremely slovenly and unkempt, bingo, and evidence of the crimes will be found in the residence, bingo. Suspect will have a history of mental illness and use of drugs, bingo, bingo. By the way, Richard Chase in middle school started messing with acid. There you go. Suspect will be an unemployed loner who does not associate with either males or females and will probably spend a great deal of time in his own residence. If he resides with anyone, it will be with his parents. However, this is unlikely. Suspect will have no prior military history, will be a high school or college dropout, probably suffers from one or more forms of paranoid psychosis. That's crazy. Bingo, bingo, bingo. That is fucking insane. And they caught him. And how did they catch him? Well, old Richard made a mistake, my friend. You see, before Jeremy Richard committed that last murder, he was in the grocery store. And old Richard saw a woman that he recognized from high school. Little woman named Emily. Now, apparently, Richard looked like shit. Richard smelled like shit. And Richard freaked the fuck out of Emily. Because when he walked up to Emily in the store, he starts the conversation by saying, quote, weren't you on Kurt's motorcycle when he died? And here's the thing. There's no Kurt. There was no motorcycle. None of that shit was real. So Richard tries to get a ride from Emily. He says, where are you going? She goes, to the bank. He goes, can I go with you? She goes, no. And then Richard follows her out of the grocery store. As a matter of fact, she starts running. Richard chases after her. Richard chases her. Oh, look what I did. Emily then gets into her car, and as she's taking off, Richard runs after her, goes for the door handle, comes within a foot of it, and then she takes off, and then she gets away. So when news of this horrific incident hits, and there's this image, this police sketch that looks like Richard, Emily goes, holy fuck, that's him. She calls the popo. They go to Richard's residence where they find all sorts of great things, Jeremy. They find blood and they find body parts and they find a calendar where the previous murders took place. Those dates just so happen to be circled, Jeremy.
So it's kind of like the center console between the front seats of your car. All kinds of shit in there. Yeah.
That's what it was. They found old French fries.
Gay
and
porn.
Fucking
a bottle of Jack Daniels, a handgun.
Hold on, is that what's in your center console? Is gay porn, a bottle of Jack Daniels?
Yeah. It's for the shame.
There we go. A gun is found at his place that links him back to all the murders. They also discovered a 12-inch butcher knife, rubber boots, animal collars, 3 blenders, 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 blenders containing blood, and several dishes inside of the refrigerator containing body parts. Oh, nice. A mummified, decapitated baby, by the way, was found later in the box outside in the vacant lot of the church, like I said. The trials began in 1979. It didn't go good for old Richie. He pled not guilty by reason of insanity. And he thought he was going to get away with it, too. You know that, Jeremy? Because when old Wrestler, the guy we were talking about earlier from, that show on Netflix, comes to interview the motherfucker, Richard tells him, he says, bro, I got a plan, okay? Oh, I got a plan. Here's what's going to happen. You give me a radar gun. And Wrestler's like, what? A radar gun? Richard goes, yeah. If I have a radar gun, I'll be able to catch the UFOs that are being controlled by the Nazis, and I'll be able to prove that this shit's going on, man. And Wrestler's like, oh, okay, you're crazy. I get it. Yeah. And then Richard goes, no, here's the deal, bro. They're trying to poison me. You know why? They're trying to kill me, but that's okay because I got my own food. And then Richard reaches inside of one of his pockets and he pulls out a bare handful of macaroni and cheese. I got my food, man. This is trying. I'm not riffing here. This really happened. And then he extends his hand out to Wrestler and he goes, "You want some?" He's like, I'm good. I'm good.
I think that's the true sign of a fucking psycho. Like, who just has macaroni and cheese in their fucking pocket?
I live after everything
that bothers
in this
me
fucking
almost
episode.
as much as everything else he's done.
After everything in this fucking episode, the macaroni, it's not the sucking the baby's brains up through a tiny little penis straw. That doesn't bother you nearly as much as having a pocket full of macaroni and cheese. And you're not wrong.
It worries me.
So he was killed. He was sentenced to death, but before old Richie could get the old chair ski, he had been hoarding his crazy pills. You know, they had been giving him crazy pills, and he had been hiding them. And then one day, down the hatch they go, goop goop goop.
Oh darn, that's too bad.
Oh, old Richard jobbed himself out. Yeah, I know. So that's the thing. It's like when you see obviously how crazy this man was, because as I was reading about Richard Chase, I thought, oh, clearly this guy, got a life in Arkham, right? you know what I mean? Like if he were a Batman villain, they'd throw him in there with the crazy guy. But no, they were going to fry his ass. And when you look back at him, it's like, obviously he was crazy. Obviously this man should not have been free at any point, right? He should, and the system failed him. His mom failed him. Everything failed this guy, but he was still a piece of shit. Like you can't.
That just warms my heart.
Of shit.
What point was that from, Kyle? What point was that?
That was The Gambler by Kenny Rogers, I think.
Oh, okay, I thought I recognized it. Yeah.
And that's going to do it for us. Hey, everybody, you're not going to be gambling on entertainment if you listen to our old episodes. What about that shitty segue, bro? We're like 1 or 2 weeks away. That was great. We're like 1 or 2 weeks away from episode 300 of this dang old shizzo. If you give any amount of fucks, what should we do? Hit us up. Let us know. At Obtuse Podcast on Twitter. Like I said, that's your direct line to this show. Don't forget, we got, as of right now, 290 goddamn 8 episodes of hashtag Evergreen Man material for you to listen to old episodes. Hey, bro, if you've already made it this far, hot damn, what's stopping you from listening to the old ones? Looking back at some of the more recent ones, Wedding Day Tragedies. We celebrated my celebration day by talking about some days that didn't go so hot for the celebrating. Terrifying things people found in their food. We have a pretty great, hilarious story about fake genies, racist lakes, and Chinese meth. People who were wrongly executed. Oh, wah wah. One whole episode on sex cults. We got 2 on Craigslist horror stories. You like the flavor of this episode? You want to savor some more? Consider it a companion piece to the episode we did back in October on Albert Fish. And if you are a sicko weirdo, we got plenty of other serial killers and everything of the macabre at obtuseangles.libsyn.com. Just do us a couple favors. Hit subscribe, ski on your device. Come on. Give us a 5-star review if you haven't already. And if you have, just create a new account and lie. God damn it. Fuck, lie for us. I don't give a fuck. Also, I do comedy. Hit me up, KyleFieldsComedy.com. You can see where I'm going to be eventually when this shit starts back up. I'm doing stupid, ridiculous car lot commercials now. I got my own channel for it on YouTube. It's called Kyle Fields Commercials. We're also on YouTube. Look us up on there. Look Jeremy up. He's at Sutherland JB, taking those commissions.
Don't advertise that. I'm not taking commissions anymore.
Oh, you motherfucker!
No, well, dude, I'm backed up on so many right now. I'll be months fucking finishing them, and then after I finish them, I think I'm going to be done for a while.
You're going to be done for a while, really, because you're like Pablo Picasso. I said it before. You go to a goddamn gas station to buy a pack of Newports. They ask for you to put $7. You go, here's a Sutherland, and you take a little napkin and you draw your fucking shit on there. They go, what the fuck is this? What the fuck? By the time they've processed the information, you walked out the door already. It's a real slick scam. I give it up for you. So hit him up on social media. Hit me. Again, we're going to be back each and every single week, usually on Monday. Doesn't matter if one of us is in the hospital. One of us got married. We're fucking here, assholes. And most of the time, it's halfway decent. Piece of shit. Why am I angry at the audience? We're here, you assholes.
I like how you got angry with the audience, but you still kept it real. Like, most of the time, it's halfway decent. That's the best I can do.
Exactly right. We're going to be halfway decent next week, man. Don't forget, please share this podcast. Tell your friends. Jeremiah, tell them goodbye.
Goodbye.